Hey, you wondering what my shirt means? I'm going to tell you about that, and I'm also going to help you to set up a mental fitness plan. This is so important, whether you're a leader or not, that you've got a plan for moving forward to combat the limiting beliefs. There are things that held you back this year that don't need to hold you back in the year to come. My name is Paul Lemieux. I'm founder of Lemieux Leadership Solutions, and this is your leadership lesson of the week. As leaders, we want to be coffee beans. I have a good friend who created these shirts and handed them out at our John Maxwell International Conference back in August. And he was able to introduce from the stage one of our mentors, the CEO of Maxwell Leadership. And he introduced Mark Cole by talking about being a coffee bean. And throughout the audience, his good friends were all wearing these shirts. And the moral of the story is that a coffee bean changes the water instead of the water changing the coffee bean. You can put an egg into water and boil it, and the egg is changed by the water, but you can't put coffee beans into water without the coffee changing the water. And you've all heard that we need to be thermostats, not thermometers. And that's really the idea behind this. But without a mental fitness plan, you cannot be a thermostat. You will always be a thermometer. And the problem is you'll be a thermometer to your own thoughts, your own limiting beliefs, the things that actually are on replay constantly in your mind. The beginning of this year, I had to get really serious because I was crippled by some fear in moving forward in my business. I was at a new level that I'd never attained before. I was influencing at a brand new level people that were influencers themselves, and I needed to figure out a way to keep going, or I was going to actually self-sabotage what I had worked so hard to build. So I spent the bulk of the spring reading up on principles and not only reading, but applying those principles. One of the books I read was by Dr. Caroline Leaf called Cleaning Up Your Mental Mess. She talks about the mental health crisis that we are in as a society right now and gives 5 steps to creating a 63 reprogramming or what's called neuroplasticity, which I briefly talked about in last week's video. Neuroplasticity is basically the rewiring of your brain. It's taking what's happening at a subconscious behind the scenes level, bringing it into a conscious awareness of what's happening, why it's happening, and then reprogramming it so it can go back with positive, truth-filled statements that really are going to help us to take that next step into our full potential. And in our organizations and the people that we're leading. The principles I want to share with you have the potential to unlock so much in the lives of your people. If they're dealing with stress and overwhelm, if they're dealing with mental health issues that's hindering their work or actually even causing them to question whether they need to leave or not because they can't handle it all, you need to listen in here. So this is what Dr. Caroline Leaf talks about. Number 1, process through your emotions. Learn to recognize that you're brushing them off. As leaders, we brush them off all the time. Emotions are neither good nor bad. They're just signposts, but we need to stop and process through them. Don't push them off and say, well, I'm working right now. We'll get to them later. Take a minute, take 5 minutes and sit down, journal if you need to, but stop and think, why am I feeling this? I'm feeling anxious, or I'm feeling overwhelmed, or I'm feeling edgy, or I'm feeling joyful. All right, let's start processing through some of the more positive emotions too. But this is probably, you're probably listening because you're dealing with some heavier stuff, like I was. And then start with the 5 levels of why. Why am I dealing with this anxiety? Because I didn't sleep well last night. Why didn't I sleep well last night? Because I was worried about the workshop I gave yesterday that I might not have measured up to the objectives that the CEO and I had agreed on when I came in to do the training. Okay, why are you worried about that in the first place? And what can you do to alleviate that? Keep going deeper. By the end, you're going to come up with a statement, a truth statement that you're gonna speak throughout that day. That's related to the truth of that. Okay, I don't need to be anxious because I actually did a really great job, and I have an opportunity to connect and debrief with this CEO. And I might list some of the options, and I might actually create an action and get on the phone or send an email to this CEO that's going to help as well. But I'm going to declare this truth statement throughout the day, every hour, every couple of hours, intentionally listening to myself, thinking about these things, believing what it is that I've written because it is the truth. You're going to do this for 21 days and you're going to start seeing some major truth. But by 7 days, you're going to be seeing some relief. But that's not the time to stop. People say 21 days to recreate a habit. That's true. But it's going to take another 42 days to really create a new super highway in your brain where we make the negative stuff more of a country road and the positive stuff we take that country road and make it a super highway from one city to the next. So that by the time 63 days are up, the positive reprogramming has gone back to the subconscious. I'd love to talk with you more about this. Please like this video, subscribe to my station, leave me a comment, and let's continue this conversation through LinkedIn or via my email at paul@lemieuxleadership.com. I'd love to continue the conversation. See you next week.